A light
There
here.
we
We
go.
go. All
There
right.
we go. Now we're live.
Hello, everyone,
Hi.
and good morning, or afternoon, or evening, whenever you see it. Thank you all for being here. I'm excited about today's show, The Wisdom of the Crone. We are going to be honoring the gray hair gang, as I call us today, and just talking about the power of the older woman. I've got some cards, lady. If you have cards that represent that image, you're good to share that too. Before we get started, I just want to say hello to Teresa and to Janet P. To thank you for being here. And I have got two amazing women with me today. This is why I love this community. I met them through this community.
Mhm.
And
That's where I met y'all.
what
Yeah.
a wonderful space. And so, ladies, I'm going to invite you to introduce yourselves, tell us about your channel, and then what you do, your other gifts. So Shari, I'm going to have you go last because I want you to talk about, we're going to hold faith that your show's going to come on one way or the other, like you already said. So
Yeah.
let's start with Aley and Heart and Soul Connected.
Thank you, Minnassa. I am really pleased to be here. I love the wise woman archetype of the crone. I actually belong to a crone community that meets about once a quarter online.
Wow.
And we talk about the mother, the maiden, the crone, but we're all crones that are there. And we're just remembering what we were before. I opened my channel up in November of 2020 after going crazy, sort of through that 2020 time, and have met the most remarkable people here, including lots of women who honor their past and their crondom. It's not a bad word. I think a lot of people think it's a bad word, like a witch. But no, it's very, very endearing, really, if you think about it. Anyway, my show, we focus on meeting new people, pulling cards, just having a good old time. And I'm also working with Kelly once a week now on Circle of Friends Tarot. And, we're having a good time on there too. And I try to get on and see what other people are doing. But it's my pleasure to be in this community, and I'm so happy to know you and Shari and all the others and hi Jane and Flowing and everybody, Janet, everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here with us today.
Okay, and Jane is here. All right. All
Yeah.
right, Shari, let's talk about you.
Oh. I've actually had a YouTube channel for years. I just never did anything with it because I didn't know you could. I just watched videos. And again, I found this community shortly after the lockdown hit. I had just lost my mom after 10 years of dealing with severe dementia and taking care of her and all of that. So it was a difficult time. And then we were locked down, stuck at home, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. I was lucky I was able to keep working because I could do it from home. But still, it was just, after a little bit, it started to get to me. And I got on YouTube one day to just try to escape for a little while and saw one of the readers and just was blown away. I was like, I didn't know they did this on YouTube, and just it kind of snowballed from there and started watching, and then after about 6 months started chatting and then became a moderator, and next thing I knew I was on moderator on every channel just about. I was like,
You
I don't even remember,
are.
anybody saying anything. I just go in and I'm blue. I'm like, oh, okay. And uh, then I just started really feeling that pull that this is something I need to do. This is something I'm supposed to do. So um, it's been slow going. I kind of dipped my toes last summer and slowly started putting it together, and then finally decided, okay, I'm going to do my first live stream. And didn't know it took 24 hours for YouTube to connect you to the live streams. Um, so I'm still supposed to wait like 10 more hours before I can get into YouTube to run my live stream. So I've got an email out to a couple that were going to be on the show with me and say, help, can we go in through your show so I can be there when everybody's expecting us?
Sure.
Um, we'll see what happens. And if it works, it works. If it don't, well, we'll do it tomorrow.
There's always tomorrow.
There's
Always
always
tomorrow. Indeed.
and next
Indeed.
weekend is a long weekend. I've got 4 days off for
Oh,
Memorial
excellent.
Day weekend. So if
Yeah.
nothing else, I'll do it then. So
Yeah.
All
There you
right.
go.
Well, I'll keep my eye out for my notifications. Well, wonderful, wonderful. And we've since we started, we've got Flowing and Jane the Seeker. Good to have you ladies here. Thank you so much. So let's
Mhm.
talk about Aley. I didn't even know you were part of a Crone community. Let's talk. So let's talk about what one of the things I said at the beginning. What is it like to be in this Crone stage, operating in your gifts in a very public way? Let's start with you, Aley. Oh,
Okay.
what
Sure.
makes you think that at this age you still have something to give? Let's bring all that in there.
All right.
Okay.
So for me, I became a crone sort of instantly at 44 when I had a hysterectomy.
All
So,
right.
there it is, but I have always resonated with people of all ages. I mean, I teach young people as a professor, but I also teach middle-aged people, and I get along. I actually have some friends that are in their 30s, and we go do things together. People go, really? And I'm like, yeah, we get along really well. But, I've always looked up to that wise elder idea. And then I always thought you didn't really come into your own until you became a crone. That's just my feeling. And I remember being told many years ago that that's when I would come into my own. And I would also be working with people out of my house. It was in my chart, my astrology chart.
Okay.
And so I thought maybe people would be coming to me in my house, but they are. It's just it's a different way. It's through this.
Yeah.
But I feel really comfortable with myself most of the time. And I just have learned so much over the years that I really like to impart it, but I still like to learn it because I don't think I know I don't know everything. And I think I like to be able to get some wisdom continuously and improve my own self as well, because I don't have all the answers. I have all the questions though. So, yeah.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Did you think when you were younger that older women had something to give?
I did. My mother, at the time when my mother had me, she was 35, which isn't really old by today's birthing
Correct for that.
standards.
That was really old.
Yeah, yeah. But it was, at that time, she was born in 1920. All my grandparents were dead. I never ever met any of them. They were all dead in the 40s. But I had a special aunt who had no children, and she was like my grandmother. And she was so powerful and so loving and so much fun. She was, and I thought, wow, you get to a point when you're older where you can say whatever you want to say, do whatever you want to do. No one, if people judge you, oh well, So that's kind of what I looked up to. Yes, and I do. I think women get stronger and stronger as they age, and they come more into their own and their comfort zone.
All right, Shari, what about you? And especially, again, how is it operating in your gifts at this age and then in a very public way? And then how do you, are you surprised to find yourself at this place?
Yes and no. When I was 8 is when I think my mother first realized that I had the family gift.
Okay.
We had left Texas and gone to Florida to visit, never been there before, arrived in the middle of the night. And when we walked into the person's house, I'm 8 years old now, and I'm like, oh, I've been here before. And they were all like, no, you've never been here. We've never been to Florida before. And I'm like, no, this room is here, and this room is here, and this room is there, and so-and-so's room. And I mean, I literally laid out the entire house for them,
It's cool.
never having been there. And my mom just looked at me and said, okay. And she just left it at that. It wasn't looked down on. My mother would have visions of people dying, their death. She would see their death, and she did not talk about it very much. She didn't like it. She kind of shut it off as best she could. My grandmother, her mother, would literally, and this was back in the day of party lines, and no caller ID or anything like that. She would literally go get the phone, so and so's calling. 5 minutes later, the phone would ring. That's who would be calling. She just knew, you know. Um, there are other relatives through the years that I heard that, was able to do this or do that, but it was not really discussed. I mean, we're talking the 60s when I was little, so that was kind of a no-no. And in the 70s, everybody just thought you were on drugs if you talked about it. So and by the time the 80s came along, nobody cared anymore.
I know.
And I
Everyone
was
was on
busy
drugs.
with my own family, Aley talked about an older neighbor, which made me remember when I was like first grade, I guess. There was an older couple that lived next door to us. They were both in their 70s, 80s. I mean, they were older. And she would invite me to come over, and I would go sit in her kitchen and have cookies and Kool-Aid. It was the worst Kool-Aid in the world because she never put sugar in it.
Yeah.
But I drank it because she made it for me. And she would let me play with her antique dolls. I never played with dolls unless I was at her house. I was a tomboy. I was outside with all the guys playing ball. But when I went to her house, I got to play with the dolls. And they were these beautiful antique dolls. And you brought that memory back for me, Aley. That was really cool. I hadn't thought about her in years and years and years. And now just about, there's not many left in my family, I don't think, that I've kept in touch with, so to speak. A handful. I'm lucky my brother and his son live with me. My son lives with me, so we share expenses, share a house, drive each other crazy, which is why I don't have a gun. I'd kill somebody.
Oh my goodness.
Because they can get on my nerves, and I know I can get on theirs. So, but that's just teasing. I mean, not really. I'm I'm very lucky in that I have my immediate family with me, and so I even wore my T-shirt, "The Tree of Life."
Oh, beautiful.
All right, very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
Just felt appropriate. That and my turtles. I had to wear my turtles. That was my late husband's nickname, was Turtle.
Oh.
And my mother started
All
collecting
right.
turtles for him, and we just kept up the practice. And now I've got turtles everywhere, and not live ones, just figurines and stuff and jewelry. I have a lot of people give me turtle jewelry, so yeah, and it just felt appropriate because his birthday will be next week. So it's like, okay, this fits.
Honor him.
Yeah, and he would have been 67 next week.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and then my
I
birthday's a
think.
week after.
All right. Well, I think it's very interesting. Aley talked about moving into your power in this age, and there was a poem which I thought about. I should have looked. It was called "When I'm Old, I'll Wear Purple." Kind of that understanding that as you get older, you'll do whatever you want, and who's going to say something to you about it? And I remember when I was like 45, so I'm like, wow, these 40s, I'm loving it. And then when I got in the 50s, I was like, oh my God. So now I'm turning 59 this year, and I'm like, oh Lord, 60s, I'll probably just be like, let.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
I think it's like a conspiracy. I think it's like a conspiracy that they don't tell you that, right? That they don't tell you that. I just want to quickly welcome Tracy, Ralph, and Jamina. I want to ask all of you to hit the like button. To like, please.
But sorry, I just got my one of my guests to say, I'll do the live for you. So.
Oh, good. Very good.
Back, so.
That's very good. It's just kind of like a conspiracy that there is sort of that feeling like, well, as a woman gets older, you become worthless, but actually you really step into your power.
You do.
It is kind of like, I don't care.
Right.
When my mother hit her 50s, she became an outrageous flirt, especially with young men. And because she felt safe with it, because she could flirt and be friends and have fun with them. And they knew that it was just her having fun with them. She gave off that vibe. It wasn't like hot mama type of thing. It was just friendly, flirtatious, teasing and whatnot. And in the beginning, it kind of was embarrassing. I would be like, Mom, come on. And she'd be like, oh, hush, I'm having fun. I can do what I want now. And it's like,
True.
when I hit about 50, I started doing it too.
Good for you.
So,
Good for you. I bought that shirt, Minnassa, for my mother. My mother was a purple person. And I bought her a sweatshirt that said, when I am old, I will wear purple. And she wore it all the time. Yes. So I know exactly what you're talking about. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like there is a real power. Like I've told people before, I don't think anyone should be allowed to get married in their 20s, right? Because you don't know what you're doing. It is like the stupidest decade of your life, but also it's one of the best decades. But it's like, you don't know. You don't know. You don't know.
I was 22
until you were
and was too
18,
young.
you know what people told you.
Yeah.
And then you go to college, or you go to trade school, or you start working, or I guess you're a bum at home, whatever, and you begin to experience your life, but you're learning.
Yeah.
My daughter, I have been a really strict Christian for a lot of years, so she suffered through that. She's okay now, but once I got out of that, and so one time my daughter had an edible. She was at the beach with her friends. So thank God she was with a group of her friends. And you know what happens? That edible has to go through your system so you don't get high right away. So then most people go, this shit ain't working. So she had another one.
Oh, jeez.
By the time the two combined, right? She said she looked at her friends, recognized who they were, sort of, and she said she just laid down. Now, they made sure she got home, right? But that's something you do in your 20s. When you're in your 50s, let the edible take its time, okay?
That's right.
Let it take its, but I think about almost an empowered feeling. Like when I was pregnant, I felt almost like Snow White. Like the trees are talking to me and the animals I felt like this total oneness. I know it sounds great. I felt like this total oneness, and now in my 50s, I feel like somehow I'm connecting with nature in a way that I didn't do when I was younger.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I thank God there was smokables when I was pregnant with my son, because that's what got me through morning sickness. A couple of puffs, and I was good to go then. I didn't really get high off of it, but it was just enough to take the nausea away and let me do my thing that I needed to do. And yeah. And it's funny, now I work for the state. I can't partake at all, and everybody's gone legal with it. It's like, well, this sucks.
Exactly.
I can't even enjoy it. So I'm waiting for them to make it recreational legal in Louisiana.
Good luck with that, Shari.
Medical legal, and we've got legislation, bipartisan legislation.
Do you? That's
trying
a surprise.
To through to be just across the board.
Just don't get pregnant there. That's all.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. So I just can't partake anymore, and it sucks. Because I have friends that do all the time. Say, well, why don't you go to the
Very good.
So,
ladies, let's talk about. I want to welcome Swampy63, and of course, beautiful Katie, who's going to be with Shari later today.
And Mama Bear.
Where are you from in Louisiana?
Who's Swampy? Of course, with Swampy. How did you come so? Shari, you said that you knew your gifts, your family recognizing your family, and Aley, how did you come into your gifts, and what made you think I'm going to do this in a public space?
Well, I waited for years and years to figure out what my gift was, even though I knew I had one. I was told over and over again. I started out with a little spirit friend when I was a little girl. His name was Billy. He used to go with me everywhere. My mother had the gift. And about the 80s, I became interested in everything. And so I studied from 80s to 90s to 2000. I just kept studying it. And I'm still thinking, I don't know what I can do. I don't know what I can do. And it was during the lockdown when we didn't have anything else to do, of course, except I was working. And I teach, so it doesn't bother me to go online. It doesn't bother me to share. But I just decided I had to do something. So I came up with Heart and Soul Connected, and I said, what am I going to do? I don't do this. I don't do that. And so I said, I'm going to start by interviewing people who do those things and bring their awareness. And then as that morphed, I took more classes. But I had all this wisdom, but it wasn't being used. And so I just said, it's time to use it, use it or lose it. I'll be 67 this year. And, I'm not saying I don't have a lot of time, but time is a premium, and you got to do it or you're not going to do it at all.
Correct.
One or the other.
Right. Correct. That
Yeah.
you have less years in front of you than you do behind you, but those years will be
correct.
impactful and
they
powerful.
Can be great. And yes, and they can help other people. If one thing helps one person, that's all that matters, really.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So you do tarot cards. So what are your giftings?
I don't do tarot. I
Okay.
talk about the tarot as far as archetypes and things because I'm
Yes,
a
I know, I love
humanities
life too.
professor. Yeah. I do the oracles. I do the pendulum. And I'm beginning to do a few other things. Sometimes I'm a medium. It comes through.
Mm-hmm.
I have taught dream classes and other things like that. And I'm looking to maybe start doing more classes, but also I want to do some more series. I want to do a series on the archangels. I want to do it on the ascended masters and so on and so on. So I'll be doing that. But I just feel like it's empowering wisdom. And of course, I have brought up Crohn's before, but most people, like I said, most people tend to think that it's a negative thing. And I just want to say one other thing. I'm not a grandmother. My husband has grandchildren, which are my
I know what you're saying.
But I don't care. It doesn't, it's like everybody thinks you have to be a grandmother to be important or to be a crone. I don't think so.
No.
I think you can mother and love and I have no difficulty with that. I have grand dogs. That's what I have.
All right. All right.
I have several surrogate grandchildren. So
okay.
One of my son's girlfriends from high school, who they've remained the best of friends all these years later.
So it's someone
and
real
she
well.
got pregnant with her daughter. I got a phone call at work one day saying, "You're going to be a grandmother."
Good for you.
And then one of my faculty just had a baby. His wife just had a baby last year, and of course we were still in lockdown. And he called me up and he said, he was all excited because we had become friends. And I said, well, since there's no nanas around, because he's from Turkey and her family's on the other side of the country, I said, I get to be Nana. And he's like, perfect. So now I've got 2.
All right. Well, very good. So Shari, let's talk about your giftings and what gives you the audacity to want to use them in a public way.
I think I've always been aware that I've had it since I was about 8. I just didn't understand what to do with it. When I was younger than that, I can remember 4 or 5 years old. I can remember playing off in the room by myself, and I thought it was God talking to me. It was just a deep male voice. Sounded a lot like James Earl, James Earl Jones?
James Earl Jones, that's the voice.
Yeah, that beautiful deep voice. That's what it sounded like. And he would talk to me and he would tell me, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. And I'd go put back whatever it was I was digging in that I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing. But he would talk to me and I would talk back. And I heard him clear as a bell. And I never really talked about it. I never really thought about it. He was always there. And then as I got older, the voice went away. But now, every now and again, I'll hear a voice again and just, I'll feel my guides around me. I found a picture in a calendar done by local Native American artists when I lived in Phoenix. And one picture it's almost like looking at something in a dream state. And it's just these Native Americans with the big long headdress, and it's like, it's the way that the picture goes. It's like it's flowing past, like they're flowing through time. And the minute I saw that picture, I went, those are spirit guides. And I didn't know what a spirit guide was, but
Mm.
Yeah.
that's what came to my brain.
That's
And I
awesome.
love that picture. And after the year was up, my mother took that picture out of the calendar and took it and had it matted and framed for me. And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
it is up on the wall.
Awesome.
Okay.
It's
You
not
got
a
it
real
right over
good
your
shot of
bed.
it
Look
right
at
there,
that.
right over my bed. That's where I keep it. So
Good.
you talk to me at night when I'm
When
finally
for you.
stop moving for 5 seconds.
All right.
And
So now what are your
and-
giftings? Or what are your gifts? You probably have many. What are the ones you're aware of? Let's put it that way.
the ones I think mostly I'm aware of is just sometimes just that sense of knowing something's going to happen. I'll get like a sick feeling in my stomach if something bad's going to happen, or if I'll get an opposite effect of something good. And then when I discovered tarot readers, I didn't know what that was. And as I looked, and Ange from Cartomancy sent me a couple of decks. They said, now you can read. And I started looking through them when I got them, and it just felt right. And then I started seeing a lot of people using oracle decks, and that just really spoke to me. And I won an oracle deck from Aley. Her husband drew my name out of a bowl, and I got my first oracle deck from her. And it was literally a physical sensation when I took them out of the box and held them in my hand. I felt a charge
Awesome.
from them. It was like, this is meant to be. And I just knew in the moment, this is what I need to do. And I've just been very slow going at it, taking my
That's
time.
okay.
Because
You just been at
I
your
don't
pace.
feel knowledgeable enough. It's like I still have to look up cards to see what the meanings are. Some of them I know, but most of them I don't. And I figured that just comes with time.
But look
The
at
more I
this.
do
Look at
it,
the effect we're
the
having. Just
easier it'll
being,
get, you know. But
look at the effect we're having just being friends. I love people and I love life. This is beautiful, Tracy Ralph. This is so awesome. All different pieces of one life being shared and brought together. Does
that's what
my
I love about
heart.
this. We get to talk to people from around the world.
I know, it's so much fun.
It's so
Yes.
awesome. I mean,
It
I
is.
work at a university, and the majority of my faculty are from other countries
That's
around
cool.
the world. Majority of our students are from other countries around the world. So I'm in a real cultural
Yeah.
smorgasbord, so to speak, and I love it. I love the different, just talking to them about the different cultures and learning
Mhm.
what's
I
different.
think
what's
they're saying
the same.
that we are representing those different cultures here today.
Yeah. Yeah,
What we're
Definitely.
sharing. What we're sharing.
definitely. I mean,
So, ladies,
we're
I
all
want to
three from different areas, and
indeed. So for a moment in this very public place. So is like no one's looking. So let me ask you, Shari, how close is Lafayette to New Orleans?
about 3 hours.
All right. Well, I'm going to
I'm
be
about
there. My
3
wife
hours
and I.
west of New Orleans.
Oh, you're
I
going
am,
there, Minnassa?
I am
We're
right
trying to go for our
between.
wedding anniversary. Just
Ooh,
so
yeah,
we're
I'm
gonna
right between Lake Charles and Baton Rouge.
Oh, we'll have to talk. We'll have to talk.
Right on I-10. I'm about from where I live right now. I'm about roughly 3 miles from the largest swamp on the continental U.S., and that's the
Wow.
Atchafalaya Basin. That's an
Oh, very
18-mile
good.
trip to go over the swamp, a
Cool.
little over
All
18
right.
miles. But it's a lovely area. It's a little
Very
backward in
good.
its thinking in times, but it's a lovely area.
Well, that's right. I live in Memphis, so I live in Tennessee. So
Then you know
feel
what
your
I'm
pain.
talking about.
I feel your pain. Well,
We're
ladies, let
both
me show you
children of
some.
the 60s, so we grew up in the middle of it,
All right.
Yeah.
That's
So
right. Yeah. So yes. And you know what? I wanted to share some cards, but let's talk about what it is for us to have lived.
Oop, she froze.
So no, yeah, she did, or I did. I don't. So you're
No,
here.
you're going. I can see
Okay.
you. You're going good. It's Minnassa that
Okay.
froze.
Minnassa the froze. Okay. So maybe she was going to ask what it was like for us to grow up in the 60s. I think that's kind of what
I
she
remember
was.
when there were still signs over water fountains and doors
Oh, I went through there.
saying whites only, colored
Oh,
only.
yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
I remember when I was toward the late 60s, my grandmother had a housekeeper, a black woman who came 2-3 days a week
Oh,
and would help her
wow.
clean house,
Yeah.
And we weren't rich. I mean, it just back in the day, that was
what you did.
normal for middle class people.
Yeah.
And when her son came back from Vietnam, my grandmother invited her and her family to the house to celebrate him coming home in one piece. He wasn't
Wow.
missing any limbs or anything.
Yeah.
And she refused to let him come in the back. She made him go in the front door and
Wow.
serve them on her best china. I mean, she pulled out all the stops.
What a difference living in the South must have been. I lived in New England.
Anime was her name, the lady that cleaned for her. She couldn't get over my grandmother treating them all like that.
Yeah.
My grandmother was like, this is a celebration in your family.
Yeah.
And that was just the way she saw it. The next day, the phone calls that she got from neighbors thinking they were going to sell their house to a Black family was unbelievable. I mean, it really upset my grandmother greatly.
Sure did.
She didn't see color as far as I'm aware. Neither did my mom. She raised my brother.
Now but now if you say that, that's not a thing to say. It used to be a thing to say, but it's not a thing to say anymore. Yeah.
And it's hard. People say, well, how can you not see color?
I know.
It's
but
like,
it wasn't meant to be negative, but now it is a negative. And
exactly. I mean, and down here in the South, we're still running 50 years behind everybody. So, it's sometimes I might say something that comes out.
Minnassa's coming back. She said she lost her Wi-Fi, but she'll be back.
Okay. Yeah.
So I want to just say hi to Jemima. Is it Jemina? Jemina Thomas
and Tracy.
Craig. Hi, Craig.
Villa.
Yeah. I grew up in New England, and in New England, it was just a totally different dynamic for this. But when I drove through the South with my family to go out west, we were shocked, like you, with the Black only, white only bathrooms and
I mean, I grew up
water
with that.
fountains.
It was like that in school when I started school. It was like
right.
And and I didn't understand it. I mean, I guess because my family or my immediate family anyway, refused to buy into that nonsense, as they put it. And my mother was very, very adamant. She was very in touch with equality. I mean, I remember in the 70s going with her to marches for equal rights, women's rights, civil rights.
Good for you.
All of that stuff. And now here I am about to turn 61 and I'm having to do it all over again.
I know. All the progress we made in the 60s and the 70s has actually turned around on us. And it's like they have to do it all over again.
Yeah.
And it's so depressing.
It is. Really, I find myself getting depressed about it because it's like, okay.
We thought we fought that battle.
Yeah.
We thought we did.
Fight and win that already?
I thought we did. Yeah.
Why are we doing it again?
I agree. Yeah.
Then I talk to people that I see daily.
Here she comes.
There she is.
We just kept going.
That I see
that. Which I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
They don't get it.
And I really, you two made a very good point that yes, there is a honesty in saying I don't see color. Your grandmother, I have a woman here who's one of my best friends, Judy. She grew up here in the South. And I said, how are you such a cool old white lady? How did that happen to you, right? And she said, thank you, Flowing. And she said that they're from East Tennessee. So that's even more conservative.
Oh, yeah.
And her mother, one day her grandmother said the N-word in the house. Now, I don't know, but her mother was like, what did you just say?
Yeah.
Like in front of, she goes, first of all, we don't say that word and we don't say it in front of these girls. Thank you.
I saw my mother throw people out of the house.
I thought, wow, what was her mother's mind? Right. So there is a heart that says, I don't see color. And that's saying, I see you, kind of the namaste.
Equal.
Equal.
Yeah. That's what my mother used to tell us. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. You're not
there are a lot of conservative people that say that as their excuse.
I mean, I saw her throw people out of her own house that were visiting because they would say the N-word or another race use a derogatory. I mean, we're talking late 60s, early 70s. We lived in Florida at the time in an Air Force town. There were a lot of Vietnamese and Filipino people there that were married to airmen and whatnot, because we were right next to the Air Force Base.
Yeah.
And she would have a fit if she heard somebody use derogatory terms to any of these women or young men
It does
or
come
their
from the top.
kids.
It comes
It's
from
just,
the top.
she would not tolerate it at all. And that's how my brother and I were raised. We just, and that's how we raised our sons.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's a generational thing. I think it's,
well, though
racism
Minnassa wanted to
is
say
a
what it
learned
means now.
thing. I think
Yeah,
that
what it means now, though, is I don't see you as an individual. Isn't that
Right.
true, Minnassa?
Correct. Or there's that understanding. Well, I don't see color. Well, that's not true because your behavior demonstrates that you do. See, you're right. So, Shari, your
Right.
grandmother's behavior demonstrated that she didn't see it, even though she did see it and she honored it. See, that's the whole thing. I'd rather you
Right.
say, you know what, I see you, African American queen, and I honor you, versus, oh, I don't see you. How can you not?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So say it
To
in
me,
honor.
you're
And,
just
you
a
know, I
friend.
think
You're
that,
another lady who's a friend, and that's how I see people.
Yes.
It's
Well, we've had a tenuous relationship as a not community here, but as a group, with how to say what we need to say without insulting anybody. And it's getting worse in a lot of ways, not just with color, but with she, her, he, him, they, them, this. And it gets a little, when you're older, you're like, that isn't my,
I just joined a group on campus that's reached out to students, staff, and faculty called the Allies Project. And it's all in support of the LGBTQ plus
that's great
community on campus. And matter of fact, Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday, they're doing a photo shoot. They email me, can you come after work, out, in front of the president's house here on campus. We're doing a photo shoot so that we can put this in the yearbooks and
that's great
on the newspaper. And I'm like, absolutely. I mean, I went to the first meeting and was like, I have very good friends. I have family who are gay. I have a couple of good friends who are transitioning from one to the other. And it's like, you do you, what's in your heart, what makes you happy. If being a she and not a he anymore is what you feel is right and makes you happy, then girlfriend, I'm going to call you she till the cows come home. I mean,
indeed.
I don't
It's
care.
all about acceptance. It's all about acceptance.
It's all
and
about
it begins
acceptance.
within. I think that's one of the things I've learned, so I want to come back. I'm going to try to do what I usually do, is talk about three things at once. But yes, it begins with where you are. When you are fearful and not able to accept yourself, that's when you're throwing out the N word and calling people by whatever, because you don't really love and accept yourself. And so when you don't see and acknowledge yourself, I'm going to say, oh, well, I don't see color. Where I'd rather have someone say, hey, chocolate queen. That's right. Right. Right? Or European princess, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? But I think, Aley, one of the things that you said is that I think I saw Gloria Steinem on a magazine recently, and I thought, she must be like, what the hell? Right? All the work that she did, all the women that have already charged. And here we are back in this mess again. And then even, Shari, living here in the South, it's is very strange. And especially with LGBTQ, I will let y'all know that I'm having Pride in June, and I have Gerald Stash, Terrell Stash on my show.
Yeah, he's great.
But when I very first got to my work, I told, I'm from LA, so you just come out about what you're about, right? So I told my boss, and her reaction, I said, I would have got a better reaction. And I do want to, Valerie S. and Indigo Key Oracle, welcome. I would have got a better reaction from her if I said, oh, I stab children and then I cut off their toes and eat them. They're so yummy. I probably would have got a better response from her, right? From saying that I was married to a woman. And then I told another person and they had the same response. I thought, okay, let me just keep this to myself. Well, the hilarious thing is, an opportunity opened for my wife to come, and we work for a Baptist hospital. She's a nurse, I'm an admin, for her to come to where I am in Mississippi. So not only do we live in Tennessee, we both now work in Mississippi. So I went to tell the person, I hadn't said anything to anyone. Like, okay, now this is my wife, right? Let me just get this out here. But I didn't say anything else. Oh my gosh, she's interviewing with people like, oh, Miss V, that's what they call me there. I met your wife. So all of a sudden, here are the two of us presenting them with something they weren't expecting.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, there are so many gay people that work at that hospital. It's like, y'all don't recognize y'all.
In a Baptist hospital as well.
Yes. And so
Now
if
that
that's
surprises me.
well, what
Yeah.
got me? Well, you know, if you
Oh, there's a
receive,
lot
you
more gay
receive
people
Medicare
in the
money.
Baptist whatever than there are
It's
straight.
true.
They
If you
just don't
receive
surprises
Medicare
me.
money or federal funding, you can't discriminate.
Yeah.
So even in
Right.
the thing at the beginning where they say we don't discriminate on race, color, they don't say LGBT, homosexuality, whatever. They say and other federal protected, right? Because they can't lose their
Right.
federal funding. But you know, it's like, really? I was in apartheid protest. And now I was like, ugh.
I know. Here we
Yeah.
are again. It started, for me, it started, I live in the Seattle area. They have a lot of bikini barista places or lingerie barista places. And
Oh.
so the men go to them to get their look.
Oh,
And the
okay.
girls
The baristas are in bikinis and stuff. Okay. I was like,
either in bikinis or they're in lingerie, one or the other.
okay.
And they're all little, young, little
We got Hooters.
girls, you know. And it's, to me, it just reminds me of the Playboy Club.
Yeah.
And when they started doing that, I was tearing my hair out. Not that they couldn't do it, not that if that's their choice and they want to, but then don't turn around and say you're discriminating, you know, you're being sexist or you're being this or that, because you're the one that's standing there making money doing that thing. And I thought we got rid of that in the 60s or the early 70s. I really did.
Look at this, back to what we we're talking about from Valerie.
Absolutely.
So many people forget to look at themselves before judging others.
Yeah.
And also Hooters, Valerie. Yes, Valerie. Hooters is another
Hooters.
Wasn't it Jesus who said, take the beam out of your own eye before you?
You know what? That is
pull
one
the
of my
plank out
favorite
of someone
verses.
else's?
Yes. How can you look at the stick?
It's been a while since I read it. So
yes. How can you look at the speck in someone's eye and not see the beam in your own eye?
Correct.
Girl, we could have a whole. We could
I knew
have
there
a
was
whole
a beam
different
in
thing.
there.
You know, that it's just.
Yeah. I do agree that everybody deserves to be themselves, Indigo K or Indigo Key. I do think so. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to come from a place of judgment. I just when people turn around and say, though, they're going to do this and then they're going to rail against it later and bring other people down. That's when it bothers me. You know,
Well, it's like that video that's gone viral of the young man in the Uber or the Lyft, whatever, and threw out his passengers because as they were getting in the car, they made a comment about, "Oh, thank God you're white." And he was like, "Excuse me? You know, what did you say?" And when they repeated it, he was like, "This ride is canceled. You can get out." And he posted it online and it has gone viral. I mean, the amount of people that have come out and said, "Bravo, young man, to you for doing that." I mean, and he was white, you know, so they were white. I mean, but he was just fully insulted that was their reaction when they were getting in his car. Now, I take Lyft every day to get to work because I'm still carless. Every color, every shade of the rainbow, whatever, I've had pick me up and drive. And there's only been one ride that I've had that really made me nervous. And he was one of those good old redneck boy. I mean, from the moment I got in the car, maybe because he saw a white-haired white lady, he thought he could get away with talking the way he did. And I was just, it's the only rider I've ever ridden with that I did not give a tip to, because I give a tip to all of them. And, but not him. I was like, it was like, I will not take the ride if that's who they're going to send to me to pick me up. I'll wait, you know, a little bit longer for your next available driver. It's like, I'm not, you know, he was so insulting. And he wasn't even
talking. Power.
You know,
that's your Crone power. That's right.
There.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it.
All right. So I want to say, if you haven't hit the like button already, I want to say that these beautiful ladies, Aley, Heart and Soul Connected, Shari, Voices from the Swamp, there, please, you probably already do, but if you don't, please go to their YouTube page. The links are in the show notes, and to like them. At the top of that show notes is a link to my daughter's GoFundMe. My daughter's going to South Africa. They finally said they're going to reimburse all of her medical expenses, but she has to get her teeth out. And she came here to visit. She got trapped here because of COVID. And so she doesn't have medical insurance. Well, in California, that's no problem. You go to dental school and they take them out for free. We ain't in Cali.
Right.
So the link is in there. If you would, please,
Okay.
I'll put it on my Facebook page and things. Okay, that's the end of my commercial. So, and I'm loving the chat. You know, one of the things that this is a beautiful, safe, and sacred space. And Aley and Shari, you two are just awesome. I'm just saying. Such, you know, and there is that beauty in
So are
that
you.
we don't even know each other, but we've had life experiences where we can just start talking, start
It's an
interacting.
it becomes an organic conversation. It's
I
like
love
you
getting in the
start
live
one
chat.
way, but then you riff off. You know, that's what I love the best. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I love getting in the live chats and just being able to yak with people online. You know, it's whether if I'm on my phone or my tablet, I don't chat quite as much because it's harder to type. But if I'm on my computer, my fingers are going 90 miles an hour and I'm yakking and talking to people because I just love it.
Indeed. You know, and I think one of the challenges that for us, you know, meet people where they're at, that I have to remind myself that even when there's people I consider to be ignorant or prejudiced, I still have to meet them where they're at, right? Because I'd be like, you know, Hicks up in there. Okay, don't say that, because if they talk about you that way, you would be having a fit about it. Yeah. So again, that we have to remember as on our liberal selves, that even that many people, just like, you know, Shari, you know, your story, that many people grew up where that behavior was fine. We're going to come and talk about these ends, and then let's call in these people, let's call in these people. So until someone really tells them, not in a you're a horrible person way, because they're not going to hear that, right? But someone that says, listen, you know, this is not right.
Yeah. And I think that especially down here in the South, that's been one of the biggest problems, is that so much of racial, social, gender, color, whatever discourse from people has been the fact that that attitude is a learned attitude. You learn it from the people around you. And so if you grow up in a really racist household, 9 out of 10, you're going to be a really racist person.
That's right.
When you become an adult. And I don't care what color you are, because I've seen it in all different
races. That's the way New England was. We didn't have a lot of African Americans.
Don't look at me and call me a racist when I've been privy to you talking to your friends within your race, and you sound just as bad as
Correct.
John Blue over here, you know.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. And yeah, there are times when I say things and afterwards realize I just put my foot in my mouth because I'm not expressing it right, because I'm still using terminology that I learned in the 60s, which was okay to say, and it's not okay to say now. But it takes a while to relearn some of that, you know.
That's true. And your heart's in a place. And I think, Shari, one of the things that you and I can talk about, and is because, and everyone take a deep breath, I'm getting ready to say it out loud, that a lot of the prejudice here in the South is reinforced by the church.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yes.
I mean, Aley, I know you can agree
at each other on Facebook the other day.
That's right. You and I was preaching. That's right. You know, but one of the things is they say that the 11 o'clock hour, 11 a.m. in the United States is the most segregated hour in this country, because the black folks at church with themselves, and the white, they got the white Baptist, the white Methodist, the white this, and they got the black this, like, why? How come we can't go to church together?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I was growing up in New England, it was the Italians, the Irish. It was prejudice against them.
Correct.
It was always a target. There's always a target. And now it's the immigrants and the Mexicans. You know, it's always a target. And it's so ridiculous.
And if you're in the Protestant church, they refuse to see the Catholic Church as even being
exactly. And it's okay. Again, right?
Yeah.
That's here on the inside. There's not enough pie for everybody.
And I live in a predominantly Catholic state.
That's right.
I mean,
they're in Louisiana.
Counties, we have parishes, you know.
Indeed.
We are, I think Louisiana is like 80% Catholic. You know, it's
wow.
There are a lot of Protestant churches here, and they make a lot of noise and raise a lot of money, but there's also a very strong Catholic. If you want any of your social services and stuff that people in need access to,
Mhm.
the first thing I tell them is call the local Catholic church
Yeah, go to
or
Catholic Social
or
Services.
call the Catholic diocese. They're going to have a program somewhere in the vicinity that you can go
To help
to
you.
that can help you.
Indeed.
You know,
Indeed. Indeed.
so
This chat is lit up. And I'm glad that we are sparking that. So ladies, this is the card that you've seen in my
Oh yeah, it's
advertising.
beautiful.
oh
Yep.
yeah, I like that card.
The crone. I don't know what's going on with this light. Oh, the
Yep,
crone.
I'm
You know
seeing
what my
that.
son told me? For people having trouble
Mm.
with those ring lights and you get that ring, he said if you take like a cream colored or off white piece of paper and just kind of like fold it over the light and then point the light upwards, not at you, that you'll get the light without getting that reflection in your
I'm going
face.
to try that. I'm going to try that.
So he does gaming, so he's always in there with his lighting and everything. So I was like,
Okay.
okay, I'm
I
gonna have to
appreciate
try
that.
that. So
I
I've
appreciate
got the
that.
windows in front of me, so I can't block anything. I mean,
I appreciate that.
see if I put it right there, I can block the light kind of hit me from the window. But
Hey, Jackie J. So one of the things I see that, oh, and Silver Star Priestess too here too. Indigo Key Oracle talked about her father being a pastor. And
yeah,
I'm an traditionally ordained minister, and I'm a New Thought minister. And so that's part of the reason I have my Pastor Minnassa's sacred space, because I want people to know that there's a safe space where they can come for their spirituality. And even today, I'm meeting with one of the LGBTQ plus groups here to see how I can serve them, because
yeah,
they get
Good.
disconnected.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to a place where they say, well, you're going to hell, or you're going to hell,
Right.
or you're
Exactly.
bad, or,
Yeah.
No
God don't love
kidding.
you that way, or God didn't make you that way. And
I think the best
I
line I
love
ever
this
threw out at
community.
somebody once was they were complaining about, well, why are they gay? They can just, not be gay. Why are they choose that? I'm like, well, when you woke up this morning, did you decide to be straight? Well, that's ridiculous. What were you talking about? I said, well, okay, point made. You didn't make a conscious decision to be straight when you got out of bed this morning. What makes you think that someone who is gay woke up this morning and said, oh, I think I'll be part of a minority group and get ragged on today, so I'll be gay
Exactly.
today. It's like,
Exactly.
that's
Hi,
not
Ron.
how it works,
Look, one of my favorite troublemakers is here.
Hey, Ron.
Ron.
Big kisses. Yep. Yep.
Love Ron. He's so sweet.
So let's talk about these. So if you had to choose, I have this tarot deck that has the sea crone,
Oh.
the crone,
Oh, I love that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
the earth
You know
crone,
what? I think I have a
Mhm.
crone in one of mine.
Ooh.
the fire crone, or the wind crone.
Ooh.
Which one would you be? Are you earth, wind, fire, or water crone? It doesn't have to be related to your sign, or it can be.
I would probably go with the air because that's what I am. I'm a Libra, so but
Okay.
but I also have a watery moon, so I have that intuitive but also really emotional.
Well, Cardomancy, thank you for being here.
Yeah, hi Cardomancy.
I'm all air. I'm Gemini sun, Aquarius
So you have,
moon, Aries risings. I'm like, I can't help but
oh
be
my
air.
Lord, look at it.
I'm the
So then
ultimate
how do you,
airhead.
so then I would be the Queen of Pentacles, the earth crone. How do
I
you
can see
think
that.
operating through those energies? Hey, Scott, did y'all see, if you have a chance, go on over to Scott's channel. He is changing the name of his channel.
Oh,
He, and he's all being all apologetic to me, like, oh, Minnassa, I know you have a show. I'm like, brother, please. But he's talking about changing his name and expanding what he serves. And that's awesome. Not just doing
It
tarot
is.
readings,
Yeah.
but having guests. And so let's support him in that. So ladies, because I want to honor
Another
our
sweet
time,
guy.
and this has been a blast of a conversation. How do you operate in your gifts? So as an air sign, there you go. Oh, yes. As an air sign.
There we go.
So let's start with you, Aley, because you're both
This
air
is
signs.
that
So
oracle deck I won from Aley.
oh, beautiful. How do you see that operating in your gifts?
I had to back a little bit away from it actually, Minnassa,
Hmm.
because I was in my head too much.
Okay,
And
well,
so,
air sign. There you go. Air
yeah.
sign.
And so when I started Heart and Soul, I said, we spend too much time in our heads. Let's spend more time in our hearts and our soul.
Okay.
And so that's what that impetus was. But I have to drag myself back. As an academic, it's difficult because I have to be in that head, in that. But when I'm here with you all, I want to be more watery, more flowing, and more, so it's a balance of the, but Libra, balance of those energies.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's right. All right, Sherry, how about you?
Well, being a twin from the Gemini, uh, it, I would have to say my biggest fear is not feeling knowledgeable enough. Again, I want to get into the head part of I don't know what all these cards mean, and what if I say it wrong? What if I put it together wrong?
But
And
it's not wrong.
learning.
Yeah, but I understand.
Exactly. It's not wrong. It's learning to. I think that's been the biggest thing I've been learning the last couple of months is to stop looking at the book so much.
Yeah.
As it is, just feel what it feels like it's telling me. Yeah. And slowly opening up to that. And as someone who grew up with a lot of lack of self-esteem when I was a kid, it took me a while to kind of regain some of that. That's a hard journey to take, to just accept.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The book may say this card means this, but I'm holding it and I'm getting a much different message. And it's learning to give in to what it is I'm feeling, what it is I feel like I'm being told to say. And invariably when I do that, I have the person that I'm reading for going, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" It's like, okay, that's proof. It's just giving into that. It's letting go. I'm a control freak. It's letting go of the control. Letting somebody else have it, so letting spirit take over. That's I think my biggest. So that I tend to talk too much.
Well, I think it's hilarious. So I'm seeing my crazy Aquarius, Katie, in the comments saying, I don't read my guidebook. Well, see, I'm a Virgo, so I'm going to read that book. I'm going to read it and I'm going to have it. But, again, there have been times because I have a claircognizant and clairvoyant, and those clair gifts take over. So to me, I have like people I'm doing a reading and all of a sudden their ancestors are all standing there. I'm like, then what are you doing? I'm like, okay, hang on. Okay, so now they came in here for a reading, but then their ancestors wanted to come in and have this whole, oh my goodness.
You got to
Ron will get rid of him. Ron will get rid of him. Ron, get this tarot destroyer guy. Yep. All right. It is a troll.
Yeah. No, I've seen him on other channels.
It's like, get alive. But that whole concept of that as an earth person, yes, I want to know. I also, because I have Libra rising.
Oh, okay.
So I want to know. I want to be in my head and to just really go with the flow. So to me, it's important to know what the cards mean. But I've had times when I got a whole reading and I remember the point of it was to tell the person they were moving forward and going to a new place. So I said, I wish your guides had used the 8 of Cups, right? Because the 8 of Cups would have told me that. But the combination of the cards came across with that same message. So it's like hilarious, right?
Yeah.
I know. I don't know how to make people moderators. I know it's supposed to be easy, but I will get y'all.
We'll have a chat and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
I went back through YouTube, YouTube Creator, and they actually have it all spelled out what you can do and how you can do it. So
okay, perfect.
You have to do it through YouTube, not StreamYard. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to open up the YouTube app page or whatever. Go to your studio.
All right, I would. Oh, studio. Okay, I will do that. So, ladies, I want to end. We are at the hour, so let's go start with you, Shari, and then Aley, and then I'll end. What would you say to your younger self from where you are today?
Take time to just be. Take time to just be. Spend more time with your husband, with your child, with your mother, with but just take time. You don't have to run everywhere, because I was always 50 things at once. It's like it's slow down. Just take some time. You know,
All
I
right.
think that's the best advice I could give anybody.
All right, Aley.
I think I mean, that's a wonderful, I agree with Shari about that, because I think time goes so fast and we don't spend any time in the present. We're in the present, but we're thinking about the future, or we're lamenting about the past. But I think I also would say start earlier. Start earlier with your spiritual, whatever you were doing, it was okay with doing it that way then. And you could have brought it out then. You didn't have to wait. In other words, you didn't have to wait. Like I remember being told, use it or lose it, and I didn't want to lose it. And I think I could have come out maybe 20 years ago, but then again, maybe not, no regrets. I guess that's it too. No regrets. I am where I should be now.
And I will, so much wisdom in that. Start younger, or follow that inclination
Right.
younger, and then just be. Shari, I was thinking this morning, Aley, about my grandmother, who is one of my grandfather's third or fourth wife, but she was from the Native American reservation, so she was Black and Native American. Yes, Ron, I'm going to make you a moderator. And she used to make this corn. She would cook the corn on the cob, and then she would shuck it off. And I think, why didn't you ask her, what is this recipe? What are you doing?
I know.
How did you make this? She would make these biscuits that we would stand in line, and then we couldn't have any until my grandfather picked his. So then we'd all run to get him, who he was old. So he would, hey, Poppy, come on. So literally we're like trying to push this old man. Then he would go, she'd have him on a plate. He would put his hand on those. She would get the 5 or 6 under his hand and put them away. And then the rest of it. And I think, ask my mother more questions. Right? Again, be present. Yeah. Don't think of her as this pain in the behind or someone trying to do it,
Yeah.
Yes, I think I'll tell myself to be present.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, this show did not go any way that I thought it was going to be. It was better.
This is great. I've had a ball.
I think we can do it again in different time, and it will be even more fun. So bring us back, and we'll
yeah.
So everyone's links are in my show notes. I picked for my YouTube of this period. I picked Shining Hawk Healing. Tony has just come out with a
she's awesome
Oracle deck, and mine is on my way to me.
Ooh.
And so her, and then again in the show notes, and I'll put it on Facebook. And if you can support my daughter in she needs $1,100 to get all 4 of her wisdom teeth pulled. And I will say that came from her father's family. And he even admitted it, that those bad teeth came from them, not from me.
That's right. You weren't
there. Yeah, because see, I still have my wisdom teeth. He got his pulled when we were dating then. So we were in our 20s.
I had mine taken out when I was like 18. 19, something like that.
Hey, Renee.
And then when I had some major dental work done decades later, the dentist was like, well, do you want to take out that wisdom tooth? And I'm like, I don't have any wisdom teeth. They took them all out. He said, well, you got a 5th one in there. And it's growing sideways with the bone, with the jawbone. He says, I can take it out. I said, no, leave it alone. I need all the wisdom I can get. If it's not hurting me, leave it be.
All right. This has been a wonderful show. This has been the chat. Thank you for love. Thank you for interacting with one another. Thank you for this amazing time. Yes, Aley and Shari,
thank you for inviting us.
You will be back. Shari is starting her live stream one way or the other today at 1:30 p.m.
It's going to be on Katie Moonchild's channel.
With Katie Moonchild. Look, everybody talking about getting their wisdom teeth pulled. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mighty Crone, for how you are showing and growing your presence in this day. Blessings to all of you. I'll make as many of you moderators as I can. I love you all. Love you, Aley and Shari. Take care, everybody.
Love back. Lots of love.
Love and hugs to everybody.